accountant, I decided to be an auditor. And my perspective is totally from an outside perspective as compared to a person who is writing the books of account. Now, I'll not take more than 30 seconds to explain what the key difference between an accountant and an auditor is. An accountant is, I would say the lifeblood of the organization. And why I say that is because if you do not have a right accountant, I think you're setting up yourself for a failure. Why I say that again is a person who is designated as an accountant, he is expected to kind of give you the right results, right? When I say right results, it's not just the P&L account and the balance sheet. It is the precise information which you can analyze and you can kind of draw up your business strategies on. So it's not that tomorrow you go to a bank or a venture capital fund. Obviously the first point is let's talk about some numbers. Now those numbers could be anything. Those could be the financial numbers or those could be non-financial numbers. So for example, telecom industry, it just looks at the number of subscribers. A new startup.com company, it would essentially talk about how many new subscribers do you have on board, right? So these are very, very important. Not that, you're not good at managing those numbers, but I think with a specific focus from an accountant's lens is always important. From an auditor's point of view, I look at how is the company or how is that small setup what most of you are running today? How are you getting comfort as the owner of that business, right? We use a term called internal controls. Internal controls is the backbone of the entire business. And it is not dependent on the size of the business. It is not at all dependent on the single location or a multi-location kind of facility that you may have. Unless you have the proper internal controls, you cannot, or you're not expected, or you will not be kind of looked at as if you can generate perfect information. That applies equally to both the financial as well as non-financial information. So as an auditor, the first questions that we ask our clients are linked to the internal controls. So for me, when I go to validate any company's balance sheet, for me, it is less important if there are errors, but it is much more important, at least in today's day and age, if the company's internal controls are weak. So my first reaction and my first hammer goes on internal controls, right? Accounting, I think it's one of the fundamental, fundamentals of internal controls. So unless you have proper accountant who is responsible for maintaining your beyond debits and credits, I'll not talk about debits and credits, but beyond that, maintaining debits and credits, if an accountant is not able to provide you the relevant information, I'm sorry, you'll not get the desired outputs, or you'll not be able to focus more on your business. And I completely agree with Milind's comments earlier that why should MD knows the numbers? It's MD's job is not to know the numbers. Obviously, he needs to know where does the business go. But end of the day, it is an accountant's job. And unless you have that proper accountant, you'll not reach there. So to understand, how does it look like when you step into the shoes of an accountant? So as an auditor, it is always easy for me to kind of, go and criticize my clients. I actually took a specific engagement for a 6 months period in my entire tenure. I wanted to kind of help a company set up an accounting framework. That obviously that was a large company. They had huge deep pockets, etc., to allow me to do that help what they wanted. But I can assure you, it's not that difficult. Initially it may look like that, why should I have that discipline? End of the day, it's all kind of, making sure that you are providing the right things at the right time. So if you are able to gear up your skills to that, I think your job is done. The second point which I wanted to talk about was on compliance. Now, definitely you cannot run away from compliances because these are the rules of the game that have been set. So compliances are equally important. You cannot just produce the reliable information. So look about the credibility that the lenders can attach you. Look at the credibility that the information the tax authorities may look at. I think it is very, very important. And as you grow your businesses, you do not look at employees as your workers. Slowly you need to partner with them. And I think that's the change in the era that we are seeing. And, I can obviously, I'm not that old, but I can talk about the experiences that we read in books. The ages have changed, and maybe 5 years or 10 years down the line there will be further changes, and maybe 50 years down the line there will be further more changes. You do not see employees as workers. You would be kind of increasingly partnering with them. Now, unless you have reliability, the integrity, the trust built up in your systems, I think it is difficult to gather the required commitment from your partners or workers, etc., etc. So from my perspective as an auditor, I definitely need to make sure that the companies comply with the laws and regulations, of which the financial books, bookkeeping and accounting is very, very fundamental. But from your perspective, I think just to run the business, analyze the information, talk about how can you take it to the next level, how can you build credibility in the society. I think these are the fundamental blocks that people look at you. We have all been hearing about Make in India, and most of you are contributing in some manner or the other, not necessarily directly, but you are creating those avenues for some other people who are kind of encouraged to, help in that concept. Definitely, these are smaller things, but smaller things when it kind of, talk about as a concept, but I think they mean really big. So that's what my take on accountants' requirements are. As far as technology is concerned, we are all living in an era where we see that whatever growth has happened in, say, last 5 years has not been the growth what we have seen in last 50 years, right? And maybe, it'll be faster, if we go down that road. And maybe next 10 years will be altogether a different environment. So the legacy that we leave behind for the next generation definitely would require much more. So unless these basics are in place, the basic discipline, the basic hygiene that we talk about, I think it will be really difficult to kind of concentrate on the innovations or the ideas that we want to take it to the society and give it back. So I would not want to kind of bother you too much. I would conclude here, Vikram, with your permission. If you have any questions, definitely I would be able to answer those. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anurag. Please note them down. We'll answer them at one go at the end. If I had known Anurag was going to wear a coat, I might have changed my disguise for an MD. Right? Somebody told me once, and this was a chartered accountant, he said there are 3 laws of accounting, and he explained something about debit entries and credit entries and what have you. I'm a salesman, so I didn't understand anything about this. But what I learned was that there are 4 laws of accounting, not just 3. Let me explain them to you. 1, trial balances never balance. Right? 2, bank reconciliations never reconcile. Okay. 3, trial balances never balance. Okay? Bank reconciliations never reconcile. 3, working capital does not work. Right? And 4, return on investments never return. So these are the 4 laws of accounting that I learned. They may be a little different from what Anurag and Mr. Milan have to say, but this is where we come from. So anyway, why do we need accountants then? We should not. What do accountants do? All they get to do is get you to disclose your assets. Right? Even the Swiss banks don't do that. Why should we do it for us? Right? Now, if there are going to be accountants who are always telling you, you must declare this and you must declare that, then what's the use of having an accountant? He's supposed to fudge the figures for us. Okay, I'm going to do a quick fire question answer round. And I want you to answer true or false immediately. No thinking. Quick, immediate. All right? The sun rises in the east. The earth is flat. You get the best chart at Bengali market. Salman Khan was driving the car. Amma did not make any money. I heard some answers that were at variance somewhere. Right? Now, all I did this was to show you. We're not going into that. That's in the confines of this room. Right? So, all I'm saying is that even though you might do everything correctly, you might have everything going for you, errors will creep in. Errors will creep in sometimes. They cannot be helped. Something that's a fact, and how many of you have actually tried the chart at Bengali market? Right? It's good, isn't it? It's one of the best. That's what I thought too. But then errors do creep in, okay? Let me ask all those entrepreneurs who've been in the business for 4 to 8 years to just give me a show of hands, please. Over 5 years? Anybody here? Over 5 years, 5 to 10, in that intermediate growth period, right? All of you, maybe I can start with you, ma'am. In this growth period, did you find the lack of or problems with your accountant? Did you find any problems with the MIS coming in, with the reports coming in, with the standardization of accounts across different offices? You did, right?
Because we grew faster than other companies.
Right, there you go. There, Anurag. Right.
I'm a CA by profession.
All right.
And when I hired a CA for myself.
Okay. I'm sorry. Am I saying rude things about CAs all this while?
Hearing that. But finally, I thought, I'm doing better work than the person whom I hired.
Right.
So I was like,
So you
regret
didn't hire him.
hiring one CA.
Right. You save some money too, right? But all I'm saying is, did you get accurate information from across your branches, right? Did you get correct information? Did it help you take the right decision? Sometimes you take the wrong business decisions because your accounts are not standardized, because your numbers that are coming to you, the MIS that's coming to you is not standardized, right? And I think Milind had spoken about that earlier in his presentation. Anurag had mentioned that. So although they jumped the gun and went ahead of me, I'll still come back to you and say, do you get the right information? Now, for that, let me bring back Mr. MD. Here he is. Not you, Anurag. And now Mr. MD is facing an audit review meeting, right? He's got 3 branches. And please, I may mention names, but there's no regional offense meant. I've just taken it for fun's sake, right? He's got these 3 accountants, one from Calcutta branch. And he says, look, one from Hyderabad and one from Delhi, Jalandhar, whatever, all right? So he says, look, why can't you guys follow accounting procedures? The auditors are giving me hell. I sent you all an account manual. Why can't you follow it? Why are the same rules not being followed? Look at Calcutta branch. They put up enormous amount into miscellaneous expenditure. How did that happen? So this Calcutta branch said, what to do, sir? These rascals, these vagabonds, they are coming and asking for money. They are saying, give us pujo money. And if I don't give them money, they are saying, Didi will get very angry. Now, where to put the money, sir? I put it in miscellaneous. Okay. If you had to put in miscellaneous, you put it in miscellaneous. But look at this Hyderabad branch. Everywhere else, it's 2,000 rupees for printing and stationery. Nice. Small figure, 2,000 rupees. Why is your number 25,000 rupees? Hyderabad branch. क्या है कि सर क्या बोले वो पोट्टे जो है ना पेना पेंसिला मांग रहे थे मैंने पेना पेंसिला दे दिया उनको पेना पेंसिला पेपर भी दे दिया फिर कहते किधर लिखे तो मैंने टेबल चेहरा भी खरीद दिया उनको उसको भी साला अकाउंटिंग उसमें डाल दिया स्टेशनरी अकाउंटिंग nobody's heard of capital investments or capital expenses and columns like that. All right, look at this Jalandhar branch. Jalandhar branch is you're not allowed to pass an entry for more than 25,000. You pass an entry there for 75,000. How did that happen? की करा सर जी वो बीएम है ना उसकी गाड़ी खराब हो गई तो मैंने उसने कहा थी कि एंट्री पास नहीं होनी कहता कोई नहीं मैंने एमडी से गल कर लिया है तो उसी पास कर दो So, I mean, these are the kind of problems that you keep facing with all the time because you're not getting one standardized accounting procedure. You're not having your information coming in on one go, right? But there is an accounting manual that as MD you've given out. Right. Therefore, we are saying let's use a software that will control your accounts, that you cannot pass an entry more than 25,000. It will stop, it will prevent it from going in. And that's where we're coming from, right? That if you have these inbuilt checks in your system, you don't need to then, monitor each one individually. You don't need to monitor